Yeah, good year.
Yeah, man. I'm all right, man. I'm all right. How's everything going? I know it's a bit crazy at the moment, with lockdowns.
No,
How you coping, my guy?
do you know what? It's not too. Do you know what? It's not too bad for us because it's been hectic the past year. So now we're on this point of okay. So what's the next step for us? And then almost it's a bit of like a reset button to really think about.
Yeah,
It's almost like clarity, isn't it? And everyone's thinking. Oh, I know a lot of people are. They're thinking about what is it that they really want
hmm
from life now.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
whereas some people are in a much worse situation. So, you got people that are traveling into London, every day, and now they're home and they're thinking, why am I traveling into London every single day? And then there's other
yeah.
clients. I've got some clients that are flying back and forth to Europe every week
hmm
just for meetings. But then they never have to do that. They can just do it over Zoom like this.
Yeah,
Whereas us, I'm trying to figure out where are we going to take co-create the new building.
hmm
Where is there an opportunity to possibly buy land, build
yeah.
it. We're in the middle of like looking at building our place. Really, that's what we want to do. So really, it's been a nice bit of time. Obviously, financially, for something like me, it's
hmm
not a good time.
Yeah.
But because I planned to buy a house. I
hmm
had savings. So all I'm doing is just using my savings,
Yeah.
where some people haven't got any money now because they have no savings. So I'm quite lucky in that sense. You've got to always weigh out the options.
Mm.
I'm quite lucky, I'm just going to stick this fan on actually.
No
So
worries,
yeah,
man.
what about yourself?
Yeah, man. I'm doing all right. It's sort of the same thing as you. Like, I'm not on your level, trying to look for land and stuff. You're well advanced in that, and I know, you know, you've got a place in Chelmsford, which I know you do your work, which I think is cool. But in terms of myself, man, I'm just trying to get more disciplined, my guy. So just being a creative and being a business owner as well. Like, you work for yourself, so you can really be like, oh, today I'm not going to do anything. But that's only you can only do that for so long. So this week, Monday to Friday, I didn't do too much. So I'm getting back in the game. But yeah, man, I'm just trying to get myself back on track, man. Trying to get all disciplined, and it's going well. Saturday, got some work done. Yesterday, didn't do too much, and today I'm very busy. But I'm just enjoying myself, man. Like, I'm really like I was really, really like, obviously, yeah, I was happy, at the beginning of lockdown because, I'm chilling, I'm indoors, I've got a lot of free time, don't have to do college work and that. But now like, I just can't wait for it to be lifted. But,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I think, yeah, it's an interesting time. I think you're so right, actually, with what you said. People are really starting to think about their lives. Like, people are really starting to
Yeah.
think about their lives. Why do you think it's just now? Do you think it's only because everyone's indoors, or do you think, what what do you
No,
think?
what it is that majority of us are running on a treadmill,
Yeah,
and we're running on a treadmill, and we don't really stop and think about what we're getting up to. We
yeah,
tend to just do what we're told to do. So if you get a job, let's just use in the city, in London for an example. If you get a job in the city,
mm,
your potential is okay. Where do I go next? Oh, promotion. Oh, where do I go next? Oh, promotion. It's never like where do I want to go next? Where does my
yeah,
mind want to go next? Whereas
yeah,
now people have just been within their own minds, and that's obviously a dangerous thing as well because you've got a few people that are they're suffering from a lot of mental illness. I know that's quite rife right now. My sister's in
yeah,
the police as well, so she's seen a lot of stuff go on. But on the other hand, obviously, it's given us the opportunity to just actually stop for a second.
mm,
We don't really stop, especially once you hit your 20s, and then as soon as you hit your 20s, that's it. Like, where am I
yeah,
going? Where am I going? You're always questioning it.
yeah,
So I think most of it really is the fact that everyone's in a race and no one's taking the chance to pit stop. And this is like a pit stop, isn't it? And we're like
mm,
looking at it and we're refueling and we're just figuring out where are we going and where are we
yeah,
at. And
yeah,
it's quite nice, man. I mean, from what I'm hearing, it's all positive. I understand there's going to be a few problems financially, but most of my clients have, if anything, they've oversaved because they can't do anything. They're
Yeah.
waiting to, you know, get in and whatnot. They're waiting. If anything, some of my clients have booked more work in since we've been off, just because they've had the opportunity yet again to sit down
Yeah.
and
They've
think.
got time. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of companies are doing really well. You know, I'm sure there's a lot. I mean, I'm trying to get gym equipment. It's almost impossible right now, you
Yeah.
know. And if you had
Like,
a like a gym shop, and you were selling equipment, God, you've done well.
mm,
You know, certain
100%.
companies are doing really well. Delivery companies, you
Yeah.
know, they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Um, I think the problem is that it always seems to be the little people that aren't doing well. So retail, you know, you're not necessarily getting paid a lot, and now they're getting paid 80%. So,
Yeah.
you know, so which is even less than not a lot.
Yeah.
Restaurants as well, they're hit by it. People that work in pubs, they're not really paid a lot of money,
Yeah.
yet now they're getting paid 80%, and they're not told when they can really go back to work. So
Mm,
they're the people. It's always going to be the minority that are affected the most. And you know, some people are fine. Most people work off their laptop, don't they? Most people
yeah.
at home still working.
Yeah.
Um, but anyone that's hands-on, like myself, and hair salons and whatnot, we ain't back till July. But like I
Yeah.
said, great time to have off.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like, I think you're so right, you know, with what's going on. And, you know, we're fortunate to sort of, you know, be at home and, you know, have this laptop I'm talking to you with, and, you know, you can still do a lot of work. But I feel sorry for a lot of people, you know, that, you know, they may not have this, and, you know, there's going to be people who have kids and they don't earn a lot of money as it is, and now that they're not at work, you know, they're going to be struggling. But it's hard, man. It's really difficult. So
Yeah,
my thoughts and prayers goes out to them, you know, because I think it's a
yeah.
very difficult time for everyone. But I want to talk.
Well,
I want to talk. Yeah, what are you saying? You're going to say
no, I
something,
was
man?
just going to say, you know, on the kid front, you got, like, most of the time, obviously, like you said, some people might not have money, and the kid front as well. Like, kids tend to get food at school as well. So it's not only
Yeah,
they haven't got money, now they've got to feed the kids even more food. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
exactly. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that one. That's true, you know. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. That's true, man. It's really difficult. Like, yeah, it's sad because, like I said at the beginning, I was, you know, I was looking forward to it. Like, obviously not going to college, not working, but now, you know, I'm starting to think about just everything now. Like obviously, you know, with Corona, and then with the whole sort of gun violence in America and stuff we'll talk about later. But I wanted to just talk about you, man, because with, you know, the question I asked about people thinking about their lives and stuff, I feel like maybe you had that point. I was watching a video that you did quite a while, well, not quite a while ago. I rate your content that you do for Co-Create, because I know you do a lot of videos like explaining what Co-Create is. And you did a video where you basically said how you started up the business. So um, you said, I think you're saying that you went to uni and you said you just weren't enjoying it. Like, you weren't enjoying it.
yeah,
And I remember you saying that you called your mum up and you're like, I'm not doing it anymore. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of uni students that maybe might feel like that. And it's worked out for you. I mean, you know, Co-Create seems to be going well. So how did that really start then? Because that's a big step from being at uni to sort of running a business, which, you know, is not only a place where you can get tattoos, but it's sort of become a place where creatives go to show off their work. Because I know on your social media you post a lot of art that like other people do. So how did you get to go into uni and not enjoying it, and then running sort of a full-fledged business?
um, oh, wow. I think to start with, yeah, so university was a good, you know, it's a good stepping stone. It's something good to test, you know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think I mean, I know that's the age old question for anyone that's 18, like, what do I do? And the answer to it is just test the water. just test it all the time. Like, so in college, I'd studied art and design, which was everything from fashion, graphics, fine art, visual studies, photography. And then towards the end of it, like graphic design seemed to be like my cup of tea. And then university, I know I had the opportunity to go to Nottingham Uni, and they asked us to study graphic design. And I think I can remember the first course, like literally the first course. It was my subject was basically we had to get a brand and a product and match it, even though the brand and the product would be completely opposite. So, for instance, mine was McDonald's brand made nail varnish. So I had to like design a McDonald's nail varnish, and I don't know, like I think for me it was just like it was not too structured. It was in the middle of like structure and no help at all at university. It was just like, oh, there's the project, see you later. Where I think I prefer to do my own project if they're gonna say see you later. And so I didn't understand the value of paying. Well, what is it now? It's £9,000 a year now, isn't it? I do not see the value of paying 9,000 a year. At the time, I got it at the cut-off point, so about 3.5. But still 3,500 to then be in Nottingham. I'm from Birmingham, so I still had to live in Nottingham and then pay thousands to live there. I thought, if I don't go get out now, I'm just not going to have the opportunity. When later on in life, I'm just probably like a lot of uni students, they're probably just going to consider staying so they get a degree. I mean, all fairness, there is certain things you have to go to university for, and I would obviously vouch for that 100%, you know, like lawyers, doctors, anyone with that kind of high professional value. But anyone that's creative, most of the time it's, you know, well, these days it's out there, isn't it? YouTube is a blessing. Instagram, for me at the time, it was more of like a shot in the dark because we didn't really have much YouTube. You know, video quality wasn't like it is now. People weren't as open. Like now, everyone's open. Like I'll tell you exactly how I got to where I got, but it's not really. I think people forget that. You can tell anyone how you got where you got, but I guarantee they won't try and get there. You know, most of the time people are sayers and not doers. You know, it's a funny way of explaining it, but it generally is. Like you can tell someone exactly how to make £1 million, exactly how to do it, but it's whether they do it or not, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
So when I did, like, obviously I grew up with just my mum and my little sister, so at the time going to university, I thought, oh, better go university, like, you know, better support my family. I remember so then when I did call my mum, I said, Mum, it's not for me. And obviously I was thinking, shit, I don't really want to disappoint, you know, but, you know, it worked for me. And then I just had to just tell her the honest truth. And she said, you know what, if you don't love it, then just come home. And I was like, do you know what, how powerful is that for my mum to just not sack it off? If you don't love it, just come home.
Yeah.
I came back. I mean, I thought I was, at the time, I'd been getting into tattooing. My room was like caked with, you know, pictures, tattoo designs. I would sit in my dorm designing. And obviously, the thing is, when you're creative, and I'm sure you know, like when you're creative, you just do. And sometimes you don't know why you do. You just do. Sometimes you just design or create. And someone saying, what are you doing that for? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just doing it.
Yeah, it's natural, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's what's wicked. It's like, some people always ask half the projects that I've got going on. Like, I'm really getting more into the jewelry. Like, I've got one of these pieces that I made on here. Well,
I noticed actually, it really matches what you, I noticed that because I thought that was something that you did because it looks like it matches your aesthetic. Like, I know with your art, you do a lot of like line sort of art and it's very structured, but yeah, that's cool, man. There we go. Yeah, so, you were saying about jewelry,
So yeah, like people always say, what have you got next? What projects you got on? Why are you doing that? I said, in theory, it took me, I tell you what, it's taken me 10 years to realize why I do what I do, but I'll come to that later. But yeah, since uni, then I got an apprenticeship, and honestly, an apprenticeship in any sort of job, especially a creative job, because you need to be in it, don't you? You just need to be in it. And so I got an apprenticeship at a studio, in Birmingham, and it wasn't like an amazing top studio, but it was more about the people. It was a great manager, really cool guy, super easy going. And then when you have a creative person, and so I'm getting this now because obviously I now like manage a studio and I'm working there, and I have an apprentice, then I have another colleague called Matt. So if you allow, like, you know, I know it can sound quite generic, but like a flower to blossom, but if you just allow it to do that and you just give all the options, you know, the food, the water, the sunlight, it will just allow them to grow in the right way. And that's what was cool about that shop. It didn't matter if it was good or bad. It was a way for me to blossom within the tattoo industry at an apprentice stage. And then obviously I worked my way up to move out of Birmingham. Moving out of Birmingham, the reason for that is just taking the opportunity. Also, like, if you step out your comfort zone and put yourself in the deep end, it does change who you are. You know, it really does shake up the way you are. It makes you rethink who you are. You know, when I had to, you know, pay all my bills, and, you know, when I remember calling the woman about the water bill, and she was
Yeah,
like, I've got 2 water bills, and she's like, yeah, one's in and one's out. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
yeah.
But at the time, I had no idea that there was an in and an out water. Like, it's you know, so it's a learning curve. And
Yeah,
moving out of the city, you know, and moving into a Chelmsford, which admittedly is a lot quieter than Birmingham or London.
100%. Yeah,
Um, you know, that was a bit of a, like, a kind of shock factor, but also allowed me to just delve into my work and then building up the clientele. I mean, ideally, you wouldn't want to just start a tattoo studio or just start a workplace without clientele. Normally, most people would generally build their clientele. If you was a graphic designer or any kind of designer, in fact, maybe build up the clientele, then go do it yourself. Maybe that's normally the way that we do it. And then I had the opportunity to just start something that I've always wanted to do, but part of me never wanted to start it. It was almost like it was forced
really.
because
Why'd you say that?
well, forced, but also it was, at the time, it felt like, okay, I'm gonna start it. I had the opportunity to work in a shop in London or start something of my own. And I always wanted to start something that was, you know, it's all in the name, obviously, like co-create, like this collaborative kind of like community, artists, tattooists, designers, just everyone that collab together. I wanted to work on projects with more people. I thought it was like more fun. Um, but there's nothing out there that consisted like that kind of values. Like, no one had those type of values. Like, this is a tattoo studio, this is a graphic design place. But a graphic design place, yeah, we can make you a logo, but it's boring. You know, there's no creative value to it. I know, but what about this? Like, co-create, like, you want them to do a logo. Oh, their logo is going to have a lot more theory, story, design. There's a lot more about it. And I thought, if we had illustrators, tattooists, designers, photographers, graphic designers, all in one, you know, one umbrella, then what is the possibilities and the diversity that it could bring? So that was the dream. And obviously, at our background, most of us, we all have art backgrounds, and it's all about how do you turn your art into, I guess, money, value. How do you monetize your art? And it's the hardest question really to answer. And tattooing was obviously my way of monetizing my art to start with. And then I became, I guess, I got a, what you could probably call a style, or an identifiable style within the tattooing, and then obviously the jewelry, and then obviously the art. I just want it to always be that kind of geometric kind of element, with like maybe like the diamond symbol could be within it. But yeah, so that is, so when I say forced, it wasn't like, oh, you've got to go do it. It was almost like no one was doing it, and I felt compelled to, like, you know, we have to do this. Let's just do it. And that's where I meant, like, right now I'm in the mindset of, you know, where we need a space for that. We need a cool space. We have a cool shop in Chelmsford on the top floor above my friend's salon, hair salon, and it's really cool there. But I would like to have maybe more than one, like a bigger space. So it's cool to have the city space, but it'd be nice to have something a bit on the outskirts, near like better views and whatnot. So it'd be nice to have two options, you know, one day, and then people could work in both either way. But yeah, so that's how I got roughly how I got where I got. But obviously, that's 10 years. That's quite a long
Yeah,
time.
that's a long time. Yeah.
You know, you can't. You first of all, you have to. You see, I read this article once, and you know, it was talking about the levels of what you should potentially be at, and in your 20s, you should be failing. You should be failing all the time. You know, the amount of things that I've tried and they've not worked is unbelievable. I've tried things that look cool and they're still cool, but they've not worked. You know, they're not financially worked. Like the
Yeah.
jewelry thing, that's not financially worked. It's cool. You know, people like it, but I haven't taken many steps to, you know, create, like, I guess, a business around it.
Yeah.
But it's always creating, you know, keep creating, and then things just stick. It's about like pushing your time into certain avenues. So whatever your thing, your your sole purpose is, which for me is to create art for people, predominantly on their bodies, not just on their bodies, but also for them to wear. I mean,
Hmm.
that's when I mentioned earlier about the reason, you know, the reasons I do what I do is because it's all about that psychological change. If
Mm.
you can create artwork on somebody's body and it changes the way they think, the way that they walk, the way that the next person next to them, you know, says something. You might be standing at a bus stop and they go, "Oh, mate, where did you get a tattoo? It looks really cool, blah, blah, blah." And it not only obviously sparks conversation, which we don't often do anymore, but it also creates this kind of great value that this person just feels like 10 times better. You know, it's like
Yeah.
going to the gym and losing a stone, but forever, but for
Mm.
keeping it up forever. So I think that's predominantly one of the main reasons tattooing for me is such a great job, and it brings great purpose.
Yeah.
And without purpose, I think, you know, people struggle to keep going.
Mm.
You know, I think that's one of the reasons when we spoke earlier about why is it that people are now thinking. It's because people are just going back and forth. You know, they're on that, you know, the hamster wheel going, and they don't really know why they're doing what they're doing or what their purpose is in life. You know, and I think once you find what it is, it makes life a lot more like, it almost makes it feel like you're breathing fresh air now.
Yeah.
And it was a struggle to breathe.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a weight on your chest, but now I just feel like, you know what, it's easy. And then it makes it easier. Now it's just like life just seems not easy, but it's not easy.
Mm.
If anything, it's harder because there's more challenges, but it's fun because you have the purpose and you love what you do,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, man. I get what you mean. Like, I'm assuming there'd be so many more creatives if, you know, money wasn't a thing, and if we were on lockdown for a bit longer, you know, I feel like people would definitely want to make a new hobby, or, you know, a guy that works in London all the time, you know, is always wanting to do some drawing. You know, he's got the time to do that now, and I think, yeah, you're right. People have got a lot of time, and you have to use it to advantage, really. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? It's a great time for people that haven't had the time before
Mm.
to now take the opportunity to rethink their life strategy.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, even for us, like, I know we love what we're doing, but we could still do it better.
hundred
We could
percent.
still improve, you know, and there's an opportunity now to, you know, almost like recreate, you know, what our journey. So at the moment we're all trying to say, like, us as in the studio, the main three artists. We also have other artists. Like, I haven't really mentioned that much to Fang. We did talk about it. So when I first started Co-Create, it was initially to create this space. So we have this little small space in the centre of Chelmsford, and I obviously want a bigger space eventually. But we then asked other artists to join. So we have Sam. You know, Sam is an illustrator and he's done amazing work, mainly with movies. You know, you can see him on the website. He's done a lot of
Really,
movie
wow.
posters. He's worked on a few
Yeah,
things.
actually, I think I recognize. Did he do the Indiana Jones piece?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does stuff. I think he's done a few cool like Dragon Ball Z stuff for a gallery in LA. He's also done some Netflix Stranger Things poster art stuff. He's done a few
Mm,
cool bits, man. But like, it's really cool to see how good he is on his avenues, and then it not only brings him into the team to then hopefully work on a few projects when we get back to reality, um, but also it makes you step your game up. You think like, could
100%.
I improve my graphic kind of illustrative content into my work? Maybe, you know, it's like the theory of London. Like London is so built up, so you have like, if you had two scientists working next to each other in London, or in a room, sorry, compared to two scientists who were in two separate rooms and they were both studying the same thing, there's a mathematical equation or an odds of how quick the two together would improve compared to the two separately. And that's why they think London is not only growing 10 times quicker than any other place in the UK. It's mainly because of the fact that there's so many people in one small space. So you might have a barber's or a tattoo studio, but there's a barber's and a tattoo studio there, and there's another one there and there. And but having that amount of people so close, it forces you to improve.
Yeah, you have to. Or else you're going to get
So
swept up by the competition.
yeah, exactly. So I don't like to always, the way I see it as well, like in Chelmsford, there is a lot of tattoo studios, but I don't really see us as a tattoo studio. We do
Yeah.
tattoo art, but we
Mm,
don't see. So, like, our version of competition is let's bring better artists in and let's try and get better artists on our side so we can then improve together.
yeah.
So, like, healthy competition. Like, if
Mm,
you've got to have competition, it's good to have it. It's good to want to be better and better yourself.
mm,
It's just good also when you have a, you know, you admire someone, but you should admire them for all the right reasons, you know, because if they are good or they're better than you and they are down the road, surely it should make you kind of contemplate your work and improve yourself. You know, it's always good to have someone that's older than you, further than you, and also has like a lot more in the bag than you,
yeah.
and then use them as a model, and then be like, okay, so that person is 25, he's done this, this, and this. So if I can kind of improve this, and this, I could maybe get to that position at the age of 23 or 24. Because obviously time is a good way of working out, you know, the steps of the distance that you've got, you know, hit your goals. But the other problem with that is that obviously too many people get hit up on goals and journeys and, oh, I
Mm,
haven't hit my goal or whatever. But
yeah.
if you know where you're going and you know your purpose, then shouldn't life just be full of goals? You know?
Mm. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. Like, I definitely think that's going to help a lot of people. And, I feel like there's so much going on, obviously not as much as there would be now, that people can get lost. And if you've got a clear goal, then it's a matter of time. And I think one thing that I'm learning now, Madrid, and one thing that we're all learning is you just have to be patient, man. Like you're saying, it took you 10 years to get to where you want to get to. Some people think in a year I'm going to get to this place, and when that year comes, they stop. And it may have been in the second year, or maybe the day before that, it would have worked out for them. And I think people in this day and age, especially in a industry that is moves all the time, and especially while there's so many creative opportunities, like you said, being a YouTuber, starting your own business, making a personal brand, because it moves so quickly. You think, oh, everything's going to happen so quickly for me, but it takes a lot of time to get to where you want to get to. And I think you're a good example that you stuck with what you're doing, and it seems like it's going well for you. So yeah.
Yeah, I think what you were saying then about it's generally the fact that we have technology and we
Yeah.
can see what we perceive as, oh, they're doing really well and they only started their brand a year ago. but that person that started that brand a year ago. See, I started Co-Create a year ago, right? But I've been tattooing for 9 years before that.
Mm,
You know,
exactly.
it's not really about what the last year brought. It's about the whole life. If I didn't go to college and study art design, if I didn't go to university and hate it, like I wouldn't have known that I hated it. And if I didn't then come out of that and go straight into apprenticeship and then focus solely on that, I probably wouldn't be where I am. So like that time and that value, we should always look at it as in like, it's about what we do for our whole life. And that's why it's good when you're young to just test different things, like
Yeah,
try out things. And the other problem to that is that we live in a society where we are on next day delivery. You can now swipe left and right if you want a date or not. You can literally get clothes ASOS delivered to you. Amazon, it's ridiculous. Like you never have to wait for anything. So why
yeah.
should you wait for a career?
Mm,
Like in your mind, you're probably like, no, I can get that next day. I'll
yeah,
get that promotion. But in
yeah,
reality, relationships is one, and work, career, they're the two things you cannot rush, and you have to work at it. A relationship will change throughout time, and it's relatively like a business. Like if you have two people in this business, like a relationship, one person's better at something than the other, that's the good business, right? If you're both the same, sometimes you tend to clash. And that's why a lot of people say opposites attract. Because
yeah.
if you had the same person, if I had another me in my company, it probably wouldn't work. Plus, they probably wouldn't happen because the other me would want to do his own thing, you
Mm,
know? So, yeah, so careers and relationships are things that we need to just consider that it's going to take forever. Like, and well, forever in your lifetime when you're young is like 5 years, and forever in my mind is like 10 years because I've just turned
yeah,
30. I'm like, 10 years is ages. But in reality, it's not. I'm going to get to 40 and be like, okay, what's going to happen in the next 20 years?
exactly.
Every, like, I guess it's because, well, how old are you now? You're 18 or
18, bro. Yeah,
18.
18.
So like, so an 18th of your life, yeah, is 1 year, but a 30th of my life is 1 year.
Yeah,
So to me, a year is a lot less to me than a year is to you.
yeah.
'Cause I've lived on the planet for a lot longer.
Mm,
So obviously, we are, as the reason why we're younger, and when we're younger, sorry, we don't understand the value as much, and we're like, oh, we need it tomorrow. Is because we haven't lived long enough.
yeah,
And it's not really your fault to think that way. And obviously you've got social media, YouTube, TV, advertising telling you that you can be a millionaire at 20, you know, and the odds are that it's really highly unlikely that you're going to make that happen.
yeah,
And you shouldn't really get help on that. You should just, from my perspective, is just find a purpose, which is another way of just saying find something that you love, what you love doing, and then when you find something that you love doing, love how love doing, find how to make money out of it.
yeah,
Because fortunately, that's how the world works. The system that we live in is based around the value of money, and we need to, as creative people, we're always trying to look at creating something, and most of the time we forget about the money side. I remember doing the
yeah,
launch party for Co-Create, and my other half was telling me how much money I've spent, and
yeah,
I've spent so much money, and the clothes cost thousands, and I was like, whatever. Well, and then it got to it, and I was like, oh God, that's a lot of money. I was like, yeah, you
yeah.
didn't even count. Like, you were just doing. You were
Mm,
just doing. And I was like, yeah, I know, but that's just what we do.
yeah,
Like, and that's why it's good to have someone on your side that isn't not only creative but also a bit more like logical with the business mind, a little bit more like, maybe you should calm down a little bit because maybe I need that sometimes. Well, I actually tell her I know I need that sometimes. I have to
yeah.
I'll admit it
Same here.
now. Do you need that? That was the first thing. One of my friends said to me, I was about to buy a shop, like when we first started. No, not buy, rent a shop, and it was going to cost something like 40 grand a year. It was so, and then plus business rates, it's so expensive for like a new shop, like it's ridiculous.
Mm,
And I was talking about getting a mezzanine, and the mezzanine in there was where the designers would be at the top, where we designed the work. The lower floor would be heated and would have tattoo bits towards the bottom and toilet, whatever. And one of my good friends, Gary, actually, who I've done a few bits of work with, he said to me, I'm going to tell you something that my dad will say to me. He's like, do you actually need that? What do you need to do what you do? And in theory, what I needed to do, what I do, was just the perfect tattoo setup and a really cool, nice room. In theory, all I needed to start was that. And that's why I ended up like having the top floor in the high street in Chelmsford, because it was my friend. He offered me the space, which was obviously a blessing, because it's an amazing space. We're on the high street. We've got a sign on the high street, you know, next to all this Pizza Express and whatnot.
With the co-create symbol,
Yeah, but we're such like underdogs, you know. In theory, you know, we're like the wolves trying to climb the hill. And it's quite nice that we've got our, like, you know, our star in the sky kind of thing, that light beaming above on the top floor. It's nice to have that. And I'm so glad that I didn't try and rent this building for 40 to 60 grand a year. And on top of that, just try and fill it with people and with a mezzanine. It would have been a bad decision. So find out what you love, what you do, find out how to make money with it, and just don't tend to go ham. Just think about, what is it that you need? Like, you know, same with you with your clothing. Like right now, you don't really need much, do you?
No.
Like what do you need to design as well? Maybe a laptop, like maybe just a coffee in a cafe, you know, when they're open. You know, you don't need much, and it's quite nice actually to be creative, because part of it is really, it's all up there, you know. It's not really out there. You just have it all in your head, and you don't necessarily need a lot of things. I think that's another society thing again, needs and wants. And I think that's another thing that we're all sitting there thinking at home, like, do I need this 4x4? Do I need this Range? Some of my clients were telling me that I don't even know why I've got a Range Rover. And I'm like,
really?
What about it? Yeah, like, but I think they have it because you know, they're part of that world, you know, the upper class world, or I wouldn't even say upper class. I'd say like the wealthy enough.
Yeah.
And they think that that's the next step, because we're on that hamster treadmill again.
Exactly.
But it's not the next step. It's up to you what your next step is. And I think that was the reason, you know, I picked the phone up and I said to my mum, they sent me, because at the end of the day, it definitely is up to you, you know.
That's big, man. That's you, bruv. You're very fortunate with that phone call with your mum, because a lot of young people wouldn't be able to just say, I want to quit uni. How did you expect that situation to play out? Has your mum always been very just like chilled out and very supportive of what you do, or has it, you know, been another circumstance?
To be honest, man, like, she's an angel, bless her. Like, she brought me and my sister up. You know, so she had. So I've just had a little boy, and he's 9 months old. And I remember, like, 1 week in, going, how do single parents handle it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you? And I was 4 when my sister was born, and like, my dad left when my sister was born, actually, and he hung around for like a year or so, you know, something rough like that. So like, I was 5 and my sister was 9 months at the time. Actually, she was 4 months and I turned 5. That's it. I turned 5 and she was about 4 months old. Like, how is someone looking after a 4-month-old and a 5-year-old? You know, and now it's like, I'm reflecting on my mum even more as you get older. I'm sure everyone reflects on their parents. It's like, you question, you know, the fact that they were there at times like that, and they brought you up, and I was brought up in quite a, you know, like a shit area in Birmingham, but at the same time, it really didn't matter, because when you're a kid, you don't have that kind of comparison. You're like, this is home, and this is where I'm at. You know, and the fact that I had a good parent, you know, at the end of the day, it's definitely about the parents, isn't it? Like, if you've got a good parent, you're in a shithole. It really doesn't matter. It's about just training the kid's mindset, really. And
Exactly. Yeah.
my mum isn't necessarily someone that will tell me to go save loads of money, gotta go do business school or anything like that. My mum's just someone that allowed me to just kind of be me, and then supported me. And if I ever wanted to do something, like when I wanted to go into tattooing, she was like, do you know what, if you want to try it, try it. She doesn't wanted me to tattoo. Obviously now it's a different story because tattooing's massive now, and obviously I've made something for myself. But at the time, you could tell she didn't want me to do it, but she definitely wanted me to do it. She wanted me to do what I wanted to do, go do me. She wanted me to always do what I wanted to do. So if it weren't for my mum being that way, I don't think I would be as free and a bit more just more energetic about starting something new.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I remember I was listening to something that Russell Brand said, actually. He said he's not really too scared about this whole coronavirus, and maybe he might financially lose everything. Is because he's been poor before and he was all right. So what's the problem? And
Yeah.
in reality, that is definitely, I know it's very, very chill way of saying it, but
Yeah.
it's not actually in England to be poor. It's not that bad, but I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of people that are poor, but not only poor, they're living in homes that are not good, not got, whether they be abusive or whatever. But that's the difference with me. Is we might have grew up poor, but my mum was a legend,
Exactly.
and I know that I'm lucky for that. And part of me is with my little son Hendrix, I want him. It's funny because you want him to suffer, but you also want him to have everything.
Yeah.
No, you can't have that, but yes, you can.
Yeah.
It's a hard battle.
Mm.
Where my mum, she wanted to give me everything. She was like, I'll give you everything. She'll give you the last penny out of pocket. She's that type of person, which made me maybe a bit too giving. I'll be the one to always buy the drinks, or, oh no, don't worry, mate, I'll sort it. But I grew as I grew older, I realised maybe I should save money sometimes. My
Yeah.
mum never taught me that, but she taught me how to be loving and give back. And I think that's kind of, I guess, the story behind Co-Create. It's more of something that we tend to want to give back to our various communities and clients and people, because I just think it'll be a great journey if more and more people are working together rather than not.
Yeah. I think that's big, man. I definitely think I think there's a big difference to Co-Create and a lot of other businesses. I think, again, like I said, you're not really, you said it yourself, and I've noticed that you're not really just a tattoo place. It's sort of a place for creatives. And with that being said, I remember couple months back you were talking about starting an international creative hub. How's that going? And talk a bit about that. Talk a bit about your plans to do that.
What the next step?
Yeah, the next step. I remember, yeah, you were saying you wanted to do have a hub for creatives or artists or
Yeah.
something around that.
So I think the way that we've set it up is that it could be an endless list. It could be a list of artists. So we're in the middle of working with. We're basically, the way I describe it is that we're on the mountain, and we're at the top of the mountain, and we're just about to tip. It's called the snowball effect.
Yeah,
So we're the snowball at the top of the mountain, and we're just about to roll down, and we're just waiting. And then obviously coronavirus happened, but we're just waiting to do a couple of jobs that we've got. We've got this one job on with the council of Chelmsford, where we're painting the floors in the high streets to make people stop
where is
looking.
that, by the way? Where are you going to be doing that?
That will be, Parkway, where Molsham Street is.
Yep,
The big double dual carriageway
yep.
there. The
Mad.
train station.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's you got Marks and Spencer's at Chelmsford train station on the
Yep,
corner. It's
yep.
two traffic lights on the corner there, and also at the top of Chelmsford High Street, you've got you've got Turtle Bay and all
Yep.
that bit.
Yeah.
There's a big road there, it's just there as well. So
Nice.
anywhere where Chelmsford are having issues with people being on their phone, not paying attention, um, you know, I think there was something along the lines of 500 incidents in 2018,
Wow.
and at least half of them, people were on their phones, like just walking out on the road and just getting run over. So we're trying to create like real, obviously eye-catching, it's all in the name, work of art on the floor to then attract people's attention to then stare at it, and it'll be like basically we're doing like a story telling. So not only tell through words but images, kind of like what we do about our tattoos. You know, most of the time we tell the story through the art and not necessarily the words. But on this, we're having words, and also we're having some artwork to go with it, and then it will basically draw their attention to the traffic lights, and also draw their attention to the fact that you've just been on your phone and you have no idea how you got from 10 meters there to 10 meters there. Like
Yeah.
literally just, I know, you know, we're all got to hold our hands up. We've all done it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard. It's hard because basically they're designed to take our attention away from everything and focus on this little screen.
Yep.
And they're completely designed to do that. And fair
Yep.
play, they're really good at it. And,
Mm.
you know, Instagram and whatnot, it's an amazing tool, but also it's devastating in
Yeah.
many ways. It can be not just for walking in the street, but also for a lot of people's mental health or whatnot. So we're doing projects like that. And as soon as we've done that project, we've got like a few of our friends, like Mark Fountain is a good photographer, videographer. He will film the whole process. We then get it
Really.
out there. So more people, like we're technically a case study for Essex. So
Yeah.
if we're like, do we smash Chelmsford, then why can't we do like other
Yep.
cities, you know?
That's
So once we
amazing.
smash Chelmsford, get all the footage out there, promote it all. They're going to promote it. Essex Safer are all going to promote it as well. And then from then on, obviously, we're obviously hoping the snowball's going to roll down. We've had a few other companies approach us that are starting bars, like there's a bar in Chelmsford. I can't say too much right now because
Okay. No worries.
I don't think I can say it.
Yeah.
Basically, just starting a bar in Chelmsford, really cool. And you know, we're working on a few designs with obviously that's been up in air, like where do you still carry on with opening it, but I think they are, it's all good, whatever. So we're basically waiting for all these things to happen before we can just like show people, because I could just talk about it all day, but sometimes, you know, you can't, most people need to see what you do to then accept it. It's like
Yeah.
starting to be a tattooist again.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going back to day one where I'm now need to prove how good we are in different avenues. It's almost like we're apprentices in being
Yeah.
designers, even though
Yeah.
we've been designers for 10 years. Like we now
Mm.
need to, just because we're swaying onto the other tracks
Mm.
and we want to push the boat out, it's not that hard, but it's still difficult. Like a graphic design team that have been working for 10 years on their company are going to have more traction and more people going that way than we are, but we might have a better creative team, you know, because we're not like just looking to dish loads of logos out or dish something out really quick. We're looking to create something with a bit higher value and a
Yeah.
lot more creative background.
Yeah.
But we just need, I guess, for our point of view, is we need more jobs like that, so then we can almost like raise the rooftops and just show, you know, show the world what we're made of. So that is happening. Like I said, literally tiptoeing, about to go down the hill, do that. We have apprentice called Fran at the moment, who's a tattoo
Yeah. I
apprentice.
follow what art. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's also she studied illustration in Cambridge for 3 years. She's got a degree in illustration. You know, she's got a lot of intelligence behind her, as well as she's a great person and also a good artist. And she's joined the team in January. I mean, I think, you know, she's ready to start learning how to tattoo now, but at the same time, she's not just going to be a tattooist. That's our main bread and butter, you know, that's our steak, but we have a couple of sides on the table. And I think what we're trying to do as a company is grow the sides to eventually equal the stake, or if not, take it over. You know, I think you need to be very diverse today. You know, you need to be like a couple of things maybe. You need to have several, from a business perspective, you need to have several avenues of income. So, you know, maybe look to, oh, I do this clothing, or I do this tattooing, or I do this graphic design, I do this and this and this, you know, I do a bit of, you know, jewelry and whatnot, or collaborations, you know, how can you bring more people together, collaborate, but still make it valuable, so you can still make money and pay your rent and, you know, pay your food and whatnot. So that is one thing you need to do. So the next step, honestly, the next step, I don't speak, I haven't spoke too much about it, but now obviously I'm talking about it on film. All right. But basically we're looking to build slash buy or whatever a place and make it like, can you imagine this like sick hub where like people can come to chill,
Yeah.
design,
Oh man,
create, like work.
that
It's not like,
that right there is the absolute dream of just that. That's the pin. Basically what I want to do for seventh tier. So you're really, you know, when you're talking about you know, having someone that you want to look up to, when you're saying that, you know, you're basically that, because that is the goal. That is the goal. And you know, yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I just think
no,
that's a
no,
really
no,
good idea.
cool.
I
No,
really like
definitely,
that.
man. No, it's good, and it is, mate. Honestly, what an amazing thing that will be, man. Like, can you imagine? Like, I just, I would love to create this kind of like hub of artists and designers that are working on one project and another project and a few other projects, and then, you know, then bring in a team that can help manage, because I know creative people aren't necessarily good at management, so we could have like a management team in there, which then we can have loads of creative people. But most of the creative people can work as freelance artists, so they have freedom. They could come in for one day and do some cool work with us, but then they can go do what they want to do. Because, you know, as a creative person, you must know that most of the time it's not really about structure. It's nice to have freedom and develop who you are. You know, I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard at Google, someone told me that you can spend a certain percentage of your work hours at Google working on projects that have nothing to do with Google. So you could, I don't know how much it is, or how true this is, but it does sound like something that what Google would do. So you can potentially spend 25% of your work hours designing a new app, but as long as Google own a bit of the app, or 50% of the app, and you own 50% of it, they will allow you to do that, because they feel like you're using your, like, I guess, your intuition, your creativity, your mind, and also your business aspect to create something new, good for yourself, but only great for Google too, because they're obviously still going to benefit in that. You know, it's giving someone that freedom. And I think, imagine creating this space and this hub, this place that people can go. You know, I want it to be a combination of, like, this is why I mentioned maybe it could be cool if it was not in the city and it was more like on the edge of the city. The views were like the country views, but within the hub, it's this creative hub mixed with nature and technology and creative minds and this movement that's happening. But then within nature, you know, it's just, it'll be really fucking cool. Um, so yeah, so we haven't really found anywhere as of yet. I mean, right now we're kind of stuck in
Yeah,
like the
I guess
mud,
so. Yeah.
aren't we, with a lot of stuff, but potentially build build something, because building would then add another creative avenue. You know, imagine designing, not only designing the inside, but designing the outside of the building. You know, that'd be amazing.
That would be
So that's
brilliant.
the dream. That's the dream. That's the goal. That's the, like, I am going to get there in the next 5 years. I've got to do it. You know, 5 to 10 years. I've got to have this cool place where it's not only, you know, that old saying. It's from that film, isn't it? If you build it, then they will come. It generally, if you build something like that, there's no doubt people are just going to flood towards
Yeah,
it, and
100%.
then we could potentially have some of the greatest designers of, you know, of the youth today, you know, because most I guess like most designers now just work from their home, but it'd be nice to just get a load of different range people, artists, ages, you know, from all over.
100%. That sounds like a really, really good idea, man. That sounds like a really good idea. Um, so I think that sort of sums it up. You know, you've answered a lot of the questions, and sometimes I haven't even had to ask you the questions, mate, because you've said it for me, man, and I respect that. But how can like, because with 70, obviously, we're not as big as you, but I do get like a lot of DMs and people wanting to be on our platform, and we're more than happy to do that. But I want to create value and I want to help them, and I know your platform's a lot bigger. So how can people get in contact with you and co-create if they do want to, do work with you, if they're an artist, designer, and etc.? How can they find you?
So sorry, mate, you cut out a little bit then. Say
Oh,
that again.
I said, so basically, I'm always wanting to, put people on our platform. 70 is about, obviously putting people on our social media, etc. And I get a lot of DMs with artists and designers, just wanting to put their stuff on our social medias because they want to get their stuff out there, and our platform's good, but co-create, you're a lot bigger than us, and I really respect and I really love what you're doing. So how can people find you if they do want to, maybe do some work for you in the future? How can they find you and your business?
Oh no, I appreciate you saying all these things, man, for
All right,
sure.
man.
So yeah, so obviously because we're new, I guess we only have a couple of thousand followers on our Instagram, Co-Create Tattoo. We have Co-Create Art, Co-Create Tattoo. Um, it depends on how big each avenue grows. So tattooing is completely separate in one way to the art side. And you said there's several artists. And we invite all artists to want to join. We obviously we I'm happy to help people out at any level. Like when you mentioned about doing this chat, I thought, you know what, it'd be cool. And plus you have like you said, you kind of have the vision of trying to get to where we are and further. It's nice to kind of like give you that kind of ladder or that stepping stone. Okay, cool. This is the direction. Go, and then it's up to you. Like I said before, it's up to you. But I invite anyone to get in touch with us. We've got my Instagram, Mike_Philp, Co-Create Tattoo, Co-Create Art, www.cocreateart.com. Obviously, I did want to create a website that completely just broadens what we are. So Co-Create Tattoo, because we're Co-Create Art. It's all about co-creating art, and that's why cocreateart.com. So I always like to say, I sent a little brief message out. I didn't really advertise, and I don't tend to advertise the fact that we always will gladly look for more team members. But it'd be nice to just see. I think it's good if someone just came up to me and went, "Man, I love what you're doing. How can I get involved?" Because one, that's cool as fuck to see that people are inspired. Two, isn't that just like taking that leap and think, fuck it, I'm just going to ask, or I'm just going to leave the city and move there and I'm just going to do this? Isn't that like a great way of showing your dedication to someone? Even you asking me or talking to me or like asking me what I've been up to or having this conversation now, that's still more than what anyone else would have done. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think instead of us advertising that we are, this place that everyone, come join us or whatever, or, we're looking for new tattoo artists because we are and we aren't. If someone comes up and they're like, oh, I really love what you're doing. I love the values that you give. I love the impressions and inspiration. Can I be a part of it? We would look into it, and I would rather build something and then make it I guess that's the advertisement, like I said, build it and they will come, build the place that, the platform, build it and then see who's going to come. So I would like to invite loads of different artists of all different avenues, different ages, different levels of art, because we obviously have a standard and we perceive our standard as one of the highest values at the level that we're at. And we only want to get better. We know, every single artist knows that there's always another step. And but we do have that standard. But it doesn't mean that somebody that has only just left college and going to university isn't good or near towards that standard, because they could possibly be. And then we could talk about maybe getting them better. You know, I've, like I said, you get DMs and whatnot all the time. People ask me all the time, am I looking for apprenticeships? You know, well, could I send my portfolio? Yeah, just send it. I mean, at the end of the day, what harm is that? Now, most of the time, people just live in too much fear, don't they? And they're like, oh no, I don't know. What,
Yeah.
you know, care too much about what other people think. And I understand, we all do it. You know, even right now, like my hair, I'm thinking, fuck man, this hair's fucking
Yeah.
long. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but you know, it is what it is. We're in lockdown, man. But yeah, so most of the time, people are just fear of what they're gonna think. But for me, like, I love passion, and I know, like you said then, like you didn't ask many questions. I just spoke a lot. I think if you, that's one thing with me, is when you talk about something that's passionate. I mean, fuck man, you can't shut someone up, can you? If they love
No.
what they do,
Mm.
they just got to run with it. And yeah, so I just think that I don't think anyone should really be afraid to ever approach anyone. You know, I mean, let's take this out. I approached Tag, you know, Tag Heuer, the watch company.
Yep.
So I approached them about a year ago, 2 years ago now, and I said, I'm looking to do a collaboration. I love watches. I love the aesthetic of watches. You know, I love that theory of saving up to wear something on you. It's a bit like the tattoo side. It's still similar. Also, I obviously just generally have a personal thing for watches. So I think I'd love to design something on my kind of values of geometry, you know, inspirational layers, like maybe some cool, like, my theory was, you know, they're just bringing out a digital watch, so I wanted to create a three-dimensional, almost like animation that kind of like moved in the watch face, and then it went around the band, like it kind of connected with the band.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You know, I've just told the idea out now as well now, but I wanted to, and then it got through to the manager. I forgot his name, was Roberto something, one of the marketing managers. And if I'm honest, I am an absolute small fry when they're doing collaborations with Ferrari and like all these other companies, and you know they're sponsoring God knows who, you know, F1 teams and whatnot, and there's me, 11,000 followers, nothing really in the grand scheme of things, poking at the front door. Finally got through to the third guy up the top of the food chain, and he just gave me some amazing words saying how right now they're working on a Muhammad Ali special. They've got, I can't remember what footballer was doing a design or something like that. And then at the end, they just said, I really love your work and we're going to keep an eye on you. So hopefully we can work together in the future. Now that is all I needed. And I thought, you know what? If I didn't try and poke, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
I would have never got that. And how do you know? Maybe in like 5 years' time, you'll see the Mike Philp tag. You don't know.
Yeah, no, we don't. We don't. That's
Well, we
crazy.
do actually. We do. We know. Nah. But yeah, but you've got to have these things. I mean, and I knew that I was definitely out of my box. There was no way I was out of my range. But you know what? It was fun to try. You know, it was
Yeah,
good.
man.
So
Yeah,
I just think
that's it.
I need to keep trying. I think, how old was I then? I was like 20. Yeah, like 2 to 3 years. I was like 27. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, why not? Why not? That's
Yeah.
crazy, man. That's crazy, man. Yeah, this has been sick. I really enjoyed this, mate. I really appreciate you coming on. Guys, go check him out. It's gonna be co-create his own social media. Mike Philp is gonna be in the link in the description below. He does some certified stuff, and yeah, man, go check him out. Appreciate this, man. Really appreciate this. Anything you want to say before you end this?
No, just obviously there's a lot of creatives watching this. I just think that, you know, we're all in the same boat, no matter what level we're at. We all have similar mindsets, so it'll be cool. You know, I think everyone, maybe in the local area of Essex, one day maybe we can do a creative kind of mastermind. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, where we all just get together And then what I'll do is I will get a few clients and artists and designers to do a seminar on what they do to maybe inspire a few more people. So yeah, I'll let you know about that, and you can let your people know about that, and then we can, you know, try and work together.
100%, my guy. 100%, 100%, man. Appreciate it, man.
No worries.